To give a brief and captivating introduction and description for my today's guest is almost impossible for two reasons. Number one, I couldn't figure out how. And number two, he will do a much better job as soon as he gets introduced. I will only say this. He was spinning the hits in Vancouver CKWX in 1954 while he was still in high school. He was the first DJ to play rock and roll in Canada on a regular basis. And in 1957, he jumped to Vancouver top 40 giant where he met Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley. He was also MC for Elvis. Do you really want me to carry on? You still don't know who I'm talking about? Well, I'm going to throw my humbleness away for a little moment right now. This show I created a little over 3 years ago, and now I can proudly welcome a legend, a well-known face, a well-known voice, and a well-known name. The legendary DJ, Mr. Red Robinson.
Thank you for that. I'm just going to write a check up for that introduction. I liked it very much.
Well, you know, don't ask me to repeat it because I won't be able to. So I don't know how interviews, I don't know how this is going to go between us because you are the one who always sits on interviewers' chairs. How do you think it's going to work when the tables are turned?
Well, I think they're going to be fine. First of all, when I'm doing the interviewing side, like you do a lot of prep, you do some research, and sometimes the topics aren't fun. But I know with you, we're going to have fun.
I'm glad, but it doesn't happen very often. I know you don't do interviews very often.
Not now, I used to, a lot.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. I did a whole series for one of the networks here where I interviewed celebrities, one a week. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's what I'm saying. You are usually the one who has a control of the program.
Yeah.
So how is it for you now that you don't have the control?
I'm frightened.
I can tell. 60 years in radio.
Yeah.
How does it sound to you? Like, how does it feel when I say
I never thought I'd get this far. You know, rock and roll is an interesting commodity, an interesting genre of music. And most of the time, when I'm sitting talking with guys who've survived like I have, we never thought it would last more than a year or two. We thought it was like a hula hoop. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I never imagined that 60 years later I'd still be on the radio. You know?
To say Red Robinson was a pioneer rock and roll DJ is like saying Christopher Columbus was an explorer. From the earliest days of rock and roll music, Red was playing it on the air, one of the very first in North America to do so, leading the way for a new generation of teenagers in the mid-1950s. By the time he was 20, he was signing more autographs than many of the recording stars themselves. Over the years, Red has shared the stage, screen, and microphone with almost every major performer in the long history of rock and roll. Names like Bill Haley, Fats Domino, Connie Francis, Buddy Holly, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, Ricky Nelson, Roy Orbison, Debbie Reynolds, Frankie Avalon, the Everly Brothers, Bobby Darin, Gene Vincent, Tom Jones, the Beatles, and literally hundreds more.
You know, I do radio, then I did television, I've written columns, I've emceed shows. I'm always looking for something new. So I think next is perfect for a tombstone because you don't know where you're going.
Hi, I'm Jack McIver. When you go appliance shopping to all the big stores, you'll find big prices and the smallest guarantees. At McIver's, our high-quality washers and dryers are guaranteed for 3 long years. As well, our European stainless dishwashers are covered for 2 full years with smaller prices. McIver sells, services, delivers, installs, customer satisfaction for over 50 years. You can trust us.
I wanted to know, like 60 years, 50 years ago, people in the field where you are right now, I think they had didn't they do it because it was passion? They love doing what they're doing. Do you think that it's the same motivation for these people, for the people today?
No, because it's all cut and dried. When I got into radio, everything was very formal. You had formal announcers. Their diction was perfect, and they were readers, just like you see somebody doing the news. They're anchors. So guys like me came along. The one before me in this city was a man called Jack Cullen. And Jack was a free-form guy. And I was a kid, and I was a fan. I was listening to radio, and where other guys were saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, here's Doris Day," or whatever. Jack would say, "Hey, I just got, one of the record guys came in here. Are you there, Harry? Yeah. And he brought me a brand new record. You want to hear it?" All of a sudden, you're eavesdropping on this guy, right? And I thought, isn't that great? And he'd say, "Let's see the temperature." And he'd grab a microphone, and he'd go right on the roof of the building to find the temperature. So it was entertainment. They were performers, all these people. And it was theater of the mind. I thought, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do.
Well, I think that you were lucky that you had such an early start.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Because you said you were 16 when you already had your own show. Or was it earlier?
No, 17 with my own show. But the year before that, I was hanging around the radio station, and I learned stuff. I wanted to learn everything. And because I knew that was my chosen future. That was my passion. I was going to do it. And I say this to young people, whatever your passion, follow it. Don't listen to someone else. I don't care if they're your parents. It's your life you have to live. And the peer group might not like what you do. Who cares? It's what you want to do. So if you want to be an artist, be a painter, you want to act, whatever. It only happens when you have a passion for it. Yeah. And today, I think a lot of it is cookie cutter. You know? Oh, yes, okay, well, we'll train Charlie in accounting, you know, to go on the air. No, Charlie, back to accounting.
Exactly.
You know,
follow your heart, right? Follow your heart and whatever was given to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were talking about radio. Me too. I was thinking specifically about singers now. Well, because you met thousands of them. Do you believe that the talent is the most important for them to get there on the stage these days?
It may not win the day, but it is, to me, in my opinion, is the most important. But it may not win the day. The person who's learned to get through the bureaucracy and play politics will probably get ahead faster. Sadly, that's true.
You brought me to this place before. We sat down a couple of weeks ago, and what I found out, what other room, those treasures hanging on the wall, I really like to go through them. Do you mind if we step to another room?
Let's do that.
Great, that'll be wonderful.
Get up and do it, okay?
Yeah. Now, can you tell me what was what is still the most important for a DJ?
In which way?
As a
performer?
Yeah, or a broadcaster, or a talk show host. What is the most important to you?
To have an empathy with your audience. I mean, isn't that why we're here?
So
isn't
the
that
audience.
why you and I are talking, so someone could watch it?
Exactly.
Yes, I think if you don't have that, then you're not a true performer, and that's my belief. You ever watch the people that go on stage like Elvis or the Beatles or Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin? They're at one with the audience. Johnny Carson had that magic touch. Who knows what they're like in person? I find that I don't care. If I love them as a performer, maybe I don't want to know what they're like in real life.
I completely sympathize with that, because a lot of people stop liking or stop watching somebody's show because they learn what they did in their personal life.
Or last week.
So no, exactly like you said, if I like you as a singer or actor or comedian, this is the only thing I'm interested in.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think it was Frank Sinatra who said, look, all I owe anybody is a good performance. And that's a great line. But it's true. It's all you owe anybody.
Yes, that's really good. I think that the question I'm going to ask you probably here on a daily basis, how was it to work or talk to Elvis Presley?
You know, and I always answer it in the same way because it's the truth, and the truth will set you free. Sitting with him, waiting to go on, you know, my job was to go out across the field, because it was at a stadium, and onto the stage and bring Elvis on. The warm-up acts were out there, and so we're sitting in the dressing room. We talked for 45 minutes to an hour. Who can remember? But he was just like a guy I had gone to school with. Down to earth, no conceit. And I tell people this, no conceit. Vanity? Oh yes. How he looked, it was important to him, and how he sounded, more important, but not conceit, not like, he had an art of finding out more about you than talk about him. An interesting concept, and probably one of the best get-togethers I ever had. But you see, when you look at the pictures, we'll look at them later, we were all kids. I mean, Elvis was 22, I was 20. Buddy Holly, same thing. I mean, we were the same age. So, it's talking to a contemporary. Rock and roll was brand new, everything was fresh. It was an amazing time.
Well, I'm just wondering, now we're listening to, you think it was the era or was the way he was brought up?
Elvis?
Yeah.
He was a success story. He grew up in poverty, basically. They had nothing. And but he had his own dream. You and I talked earlier about passion. He certainly had it. And he wasn't letting anyone stop him from doing what he wanted to do. Yes, I think a lot of great performers had to have suffered. How can you enjoy success if you hadn't had some things that set you back?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like that. Johnny Cash was like that. So many I met. Nat King Cole, a true gentleman. They all had, not necessarily a middle of, not even a middle of the road upbringing. It was lower class.
So the era they started in had something to do with it.
Because of opportunity.
Yeah.
And because of hope. It was a positive time. A lot of people write today or give documentaries saying, well, that generation, my generation, all lived under a mushroom cloud. I never thought about it. It was, but we were in the West. It was a lot different in Eastern Europe and other places on the planet. But that's why everything was so hopeful. You knew if you had a dream, you could make it happen.
There is one particular artist, performer, that his name was not very known in Europe, at least I didn't know him, but his hits, yes, I recognized. Now I do know him, know who he was, Bobby Darin.
Yes.
And he said, he quotes just shortly before he passed away, that he wants to be recognized as a human being and a great performer.
Right.
You added that he achieved both.
Yes, he did. And a lot of people misread Bobby because he came across arrogant and in a rush and paying no attention to things. But if you ever get a chance, watch a movie that Kevin, not Spacey, but what's the British, no, the American actor who's in House of Cards. Kevin.
Oh, Beyond the Sea, I saw the movie.
Yeah. Oh, God, I was on it. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay. And I said, why did you make it, Kevin? He said, my mother was the biggest Bobby Darin fan in the world, and I promised her that I was going to do it for her, and I never did, and she passed away, and so I'm doing this for my mother. He even sang the songs that Darin made popular. He even sounded like Darin. That wasn't an impersonation, it was a tribute.
Yes.
And it was an amazing thing. But Bobby Darin, there was a book written years ago called Borrowed Time. He knew that he wasn't going to live long. He knew it. Because he'd had rheumatic fever as a kid. They didn't think he'd make it to 16. Wow. He made it to his early 30s. Just unbelievable. And that's why the arrogance came across. He had to do it all. I want to act in movies. He did. I want to have million-selling records. He did. I want songs that I've written to be hits. He did. He did it all. But he crammed it in, compressed it like a CD into a short time frame.
How many performers of these days would you be able to say the same thing about?
There are still good performers. I'm not one of those that everything great is passed away or gone. No, there are. But they'll be the ones that understand and have empathy with their audiences. But how many? Not compared to the days of Bobby Darin and Elvis Presley and people like Roy Orbison. No. And the reason is that it's a fragmented media society. I'll give you an example. If you're a country fan, you can go to a country music station. Now, you'll know every country artist if you're a big fan. I got on a plane in Arizona, and there was a rumble. We were flying from Phoenix home. And these six black, tall guys got on, and there was a rumble. People were talking. And I said to somebody sitting next to me, who is that? And they named this basketball player with the Phoenix Suns. I'm not into basketball. I could, so I call it selective, selective celebrity today. It wasn't that way. Marilyn Monroe got on a plane, you knew it was Marilyn Monroe. I don't care who you were. Or Elvis gets on, you know it's Elvis. There's only a few that fall into that category today.
I know.
Yeah.
Is this maybe because it's too many of them?
Well, we've gone from a menu to a banquet.
Yeah.
And it's a buffet now. You take your pick, which is good in some respects and not so good in the others. Quick example. In 1964, the #1 song was the Beatles' She Loves You. #2 was Louis Armstrong singing Hello, Dolly. #3 was another Beatles song, and #4 was Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. We had variety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jack McIver. When you go appliance shopping to all the big stores, you'll find big prices and the smallest guarantees. At McIver's, our high-quality washers and dryers are guaranteed for 3 long years. As well, our European stainless dishwashers are covered for 2 full years with smaller prices. McIver sells, services, delivers, installs, customer satisfaction for over 50 years. You can trust us.
Everything sounds so much alike.
Well, I think the reason for that is technology is created as something that I consider evil. If you don't even have talent, you can have a hit record because they can layer it and play games with knobs, and I can't even sing, but they can make me sing.
Yeah.
That's not real talent, you know, at all.
But what do they do on the live performance?
You know what they're doing now, and I hate to tell you this, but many shows you go and see, they're lip syncing.
But isn't it visible for people that understand music?
Oh,
they have to see it.
Technically perfect that you would never notice it, but once in a while something goes wrong with the technical side. they're standing there like
or the stuff starts to skip in the background and they will have to go over and over and over.
True. Sounds like a broken record of the old days.
Yeah. But if we stay for a little while back in those happy days, happy times of yours, that's how I see it. For some reason, when I look at the 50s, I look at picture, I look at the movies, I'm listening to the music, I look at how people dress. I feel like, why wasn't I born in late 30s to enjoy as a teenager in the 50s? I think it would be such a happy time. Not that I would complain how it is now, but it feels like it was much more fun to live at that time.
We've digitized the world, is what we've done. You know what I'm saying? Everything's numbers. You ever notice how many times you knew numbers? You have to know the number of your bank account, your SIM card, and your telephone number, your passwords, on and on. It's all numbers. And who cares? Yeah. You know, how about people for a change? How about something else? Numbers?
How was it for you when you were getting ready to interview people? You interviewed thousands of people. Like what kind of sources you were using, because there were no internet?
No.
How did you prepare yourself to learn a little about the person before you sat down with him?
Well, if you'd come into this office 2 years ago, there were over 500 reference books. So I did my homework out of the books. And now you go to the internet, yeah. I gave all those books, mostly on music and rock and roll, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, for references. I was down there visiting their museum. I said, you don't have this, you don't have this. They said, well, why don't you donate it? So I did.
I'm sure you will agree on this one with me that a huge benefit of the field where you are, that you're meeting very interesting people.
Oh, yeah.
It's not only to spend time with them, I'm sure you'll learn a lot from them, each of them.
Boy, do you ever. You walk away saying, I had a preconceived idea of that person or that group, and you come away enlightened. They're not like that at all.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I mean, most of us get up, we sleep at night, and we have food. So we eat. So what makes somebody a celebrity? Well, they become successful at what they do, but that doesn't make them necessarily exceptional. They're just people.
Yeah. Well, the doctors can be celebrities in their own field.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, anybody can become a celebrity. Just do a reality show.
About that memory, what you have from those 60 years, that's not going to be erased.
No.
That's something that I can sit with you for another 60 years. We'll still be going.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You know, I thought you were going to ask me a question.
Oh, I will.
Because I'm prepared to answer it. How did I feel about... No, now I'm interviewing you, sorry. But no, I don't mean it that way.
That's called professional deformation.
Yeah, when they took my name down off the theater, yeah, I was disappointed, but I wasn't upset. The reason was I never ever asked or expected to have my name on a theater. Not only that, it's owned by a corporation. They own it. I never had any money in it. So what they decide to do with it is their business. You see what I'm saying? So it was fun. 7.5 years, had my name in lights. That was wonderful. But I don't linger on that kind of thing. I told you earlier, my favorite 4-letter word is next. There's something else. Yeah.
You answer the question and I ask it then.
No, it's because I would step out on the stage there on the weekends, and I really enjoyed it because I love live audiences. You talk to people like, let's say, Tony Bennett, been around a long, long time. Tony, what do you get the biggest kick out of? You know, doing a television show, going in a recording studio, and he'll tell you every time, and so many do, no, it's standing out like I'm going to tonight here in the theater and performing in front of people. That's it. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Hasn't changed since the time of the Greeks. Hasn't changed.
Of course. You started with the current time, present time, so I'm going to carry on. I'm really fan of your Sunday show called the Red Rock Diner. 12 to 4, 6:50 a.m. Love it, and I just would like to encourage everybody who doesn't know about this show. What a shame on you, because you know what, it's so, like, it's a blend of everything. It's beautiful music. It's really the music when the music used to be music. There is a lot of footage when you were interviewing people, the legends, and there are even stories how the music came up on the surface, how it was, you know, how it was created. But I know there is a musical carries the same name.
Yes. The Red Rock Diner, that's what I named the radio show after.
Yeah.
It came along, created by a writer called Dean Regan, who also wrote, he's a playwright, he wrote things like A Closer Walk with Patsy Cline, another one called Forever Swing, which Michael Bublé was in, and he was also in Red Rock Diner, believe it or not, when it first started. It's a musical, it's like a Grease, but it's faster. It's like Top 40, bang, 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 and it's funny, lots of funny stuff in it. Well, it played at the Arts Club, and now, then it played across the country. Carol and I flew down with it to Toronto, played in Kansas City, and now they're bringing it back to the Arts Club in June. So come and see it.
If you would go back to age of 16 and you would be able to choose the field, would it be again the broadcasting if you knew that it was going into that high-tech and high-speedy era?
I think so, yeah. Because I had a choice then of 3 things I was looking at. One, I was an air cadet, so I thought maybe I'll become a pilot. 2 of my friends did. The other one that I liked was illustration, doing comical characters or whatever, and that's a hobby of mine. And the third was I loved radio. Boy, if I could only do that. And I'd listen to different stations in Seattle and Vancouver every day. And I said, if I could just do that.
Do you know what this is?
Well, it says Via Mia, and I'm all for that.
And you know what? I'd like to get a signature. Like everybody else in the previous shows, you can't go. I mean, you're not leaving. I'm leaving. You're staying.
My pleasure.
Would love to have that signature.
My pleasure.
The big one.
Now,
okay?
how do you spell red? Used to be.
Just big. I just wanted to stand out as much as every of my guests stand out until the next guest.
There you are, my love.
Thank you so much. So
thank you, and thanks for coming
look
by.
at this first guest. I have to say the signature is readable. Not that I want to put down all previous ones.
That comes from signing artwork.
Well, I want to say traditional thank you would be not enough, and just the word thank you itself doesn't really justify how I feel that you brought me here. Maybe just thank you for everything what you've been doing for so many years for all of us listeners, viewers, audience. Wonderful. Please keep up, and we would like to see you again.
Mia, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
And maybe just
we'd
like to. As soon as you start to speak, I'll have fun. I don't like these intros, but I made them up, so I have to go.
Don't worry about it. It's good because, hold it. Hello?
Hello?
No, it's just what it is. I just wanted to hear it.